Hey, Browns fans, Spencer German with you from Berea, where day 2 of mandatory minicamp is in the books, and the Browns continue getting work in before they break for the summer here. And of course, after that, we know training camp just around the corner coming up in July. I'm Spencer German, excited to be here with you. And for our coverage over at Browns Digest, or sorry, si.com/NFL/Browns. Appreciate you jumping on in. Just a few notes from today. Obviously, the big storyline continues to be that Amari Cooper was not in attendance yet again today, subject to yet another fine for missing day 2. It is upwards of $33,000. If he misses the third day of mandatory minicamp tomorrow on Thursday, that fine is allowed to be upwards of $50,000. So potential hit to the paybook, or to the bank account of Amari Cooper, excuse me. But we'll see how that all kind of comes to fruition. And of course, this is a situation to monitor not only for the rest of this week, but as we get closer to training camp, because if this becomes a legitimate holdout where he's not attending, he's not showing up, then we know there's some contract obligations and some contract things that are going on that the team's going to have to address in order to get him to show up in the building and be part of that training camp process with the team. So something to monitor over the next month when the team is away. But still the big news out here in Berea. The other big part, of course, we're always monitoring Deshaun Watson, seeing what he's up to. Today was a day off, as he's been doing throughout the spring, taking a day off in between days of throwing. So he did not throw much today. He was throwing against air sort of during individual drills, but sat out on 7-on-7s, was just taking a lot of mental reps yet again today, and he is expected to throw tomorrow for the final day of mandatory minicamp. But not much to see from the Deshaun Watson front, I will say. Dorian Thompson-Robinson was out there throwing, and he's kind of been easing his way back in after dealing with some of his own injuries this offseason as well. Some other things to keep in mind, just players who were out on the practice field in some capacity but weren't doing anything, weren't actually practicing. James Prochet, who missed yesterday as well. Nick Chubb, who we know obviously dealing with the knee injury, still working his way back. Cameron Mitchell, who was doing work inside yesterday, was once again not participating in practice yet again today. D'Anthony Bell was missing today. Jedrick Wills, Joe Bitonio, and Jack Conklin, those three were all with the offensive line group. They were standing on the sideline, no helmets on, just kind of observing and taking things in, but they remain sort of off on the side doing work. The other player I didn't mention was Jerry Jeudy, who yesterday was inside getting some work in. Today he was outside. We saw him in his practice jersey. Again, no helmet. So still kind of working his way back from what Kevin Stefanski called on Tuesday a minor injury. I would expect to see him back soon. Maybe not necessarily tomorrow, but not anything serious with him. Just not practicing right now during mandatory minicamp. We did get a chance to talk to both Denzel Ward and Myles Garrett after practice today. I thought Denzel had some interesting comments just about the new wrinkles that Jim Schwartz and this defense are going to bring to the table, which is, I think, a very important thing to do as you try not to stay exactly the same and become predictable on that side of the football. And we know Jim Schwartz has kind of talked about that and prioritized that this offseason as well. So we'll see how that all kind of comes to fruition in the months ahead, leading into the season and during training camp. But they certainly have some new tricks planned in terms of how they're going to do things, how they're going to disguise things, and some looks that they're going to show. I also thought a very good conversation with Myles Garrett today, who did talk about those wrinkles as well. One of the biggest notes, I think, from his press conference today was just the fact that he continues to lose sleep, if, for lack of a better phrase, over that loss to the Texans. And it's not just his individual performance in it. It's the fact that they came up short of their ultimate goal, winning the Super Bowl. And it's kind of stuck in his craw this offseason. It's been a motivating factor for him. And as a guy who obviously accomplished a lot last year, the key cog of a defense that was number one in football, winning defensive player of the year like he did last year as well. There's not, Myles Garrett has basically accomplished everything from an individual standpoint you can accomplish. He's one of the top names and top players at his position in the game. But that one thing that's eluded him at this point, obviously, is a Super Bowl. And so to have that loss kind of at the forefront of his mind is the phrasing that he used, and use that as motivation, I think is a good thing for him, but also for Browns fans who are expecting this defense and for Myles Garrett to reach another level. It's an easy way to kind of keep yourself motivated after a season where you accomplished obviously a lot and not just stay stagnant. So he kind of talked about that a lot. He talked about trying to win a Super Bowl for the city, for his teammates, and how he doesn't care so much about his individual legacy, even though at this point that individual legacy is speaks for itself, and it's kind of etched in stone that he's obviously on his way to Canton. But he's got bigger goals here coming into the 2024 season, as I'm sure many Browns fans are hoping that not just Miles but other players are saying very similar things. That's going to do it from our coverage here today in Berea. Just a quick update for you guys after day 2 of mandatory minicamp. And I do want to remind you, we got some good stuff going. You can find both the interviews from or the media availability from today with Myles Garrett, Denzel Ward over at the Browns Digest YouTube channel. But of course, keep up with all the latest Browns news as always over at si.com/NFL/Browns. We got you covered from day 2 of minicamp and much, much more. And we'll have you covered in the month ahead when the team gets a chance to take a little bit of a summer break here leading up to training camp. Brendan Gulick will be on site tomorrow. You'll hear from him. But in the meantime, guys, we'll talk to you again soon. Keep on following along again over at si.com/NFL/Browns.